Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm answering another one of your questions. Well, actually, to be precise, I'm giving you my view on a question that you want answered. I recently put a poll up on my YouTube channel for ideas around more content I can create on the T26, and what came out top is that you wanted a comparison against the T26 and the T16IZ. So that's what I'm going to try and do in this video. Now, I'm not going to go into lots of different technical detail. If you want that, there's plenty of information on Futaba's website about the hardware difference between the two. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the two transmitters, as I have both of them, and also some things you may want to look out for. So ideally, this is aimed at people who are maybe considering the T16 over the T26, or perhaps already have the T16 and want to go to the T26, as to hopefully make some decision around that. So these are just my opinions, and no, I don't work for Futaba, which is probably really clear if you follow me on my channel. But I obviously do like Futaba sets because this is what I use as my regular transmitter. Right, let's start talking about these two. Okay, so you guys know that for me, one of the things that I really look at when I look at a new transmitter is the feel of the transmitter and the weight of the transmitter, because at the end of the day you're holding it when you're flying and it has to feel right, and for me it has to be the right weight. Now, I fly with a neck strap, but regardless I still don't want a really heavy transmitter. So let's have a quick look at the transmitters and also get them weighed. So the T26 is 922 grams and the T16 is lighter, 788 grams. Not a great deal in it, but a little bit. Now, as for the feel of the transmitters, actually let me get a strap. Okay, so that's roughly how I fly. Guys, I'm laughing because it just took me 5 minutes to adjust this new strap. Seriously, why are these things so hard to get right? Please somebody come up with a better design, or at least tell me the quick way of adjusting it. But regardless, that's how I fly. So this is a T16IZ. You know, and it feels good. I've got the strap that takes the majority of the weight. It feels okay. Feedback I get on this transmitter all the time is the switches between SF and SE, and also on the other side SG and SH, which are where my main finger is here. The gap between them is narrow. Now, I have measured that in a previous video. Some people struggle to get their finger between those switches to actually get them activated, or they knock the switches, especially when they're together in that position there. It's difficult sometimes to get in and work. It all depends on how you hold the transmitter as to whether that is an issue for you. But apart from that, the transmitter feels really nice. It's easy to get to the trims, it's easy to get to the other switches, easy to get to the dials. Sliders on the back are easy as well. So the only real negative feedback I've got on the T16IZ, this happens to be the Super. So yeah, the only bit of feedback I get is those switches. I like it. I like this transmitter a lot. Obviously the sticks, tensions, the ratchet, you can change all of that by going through the back of the transmitter, adjusting that. I've done a video on that already. Incidentally, you can't change the angle of the stick plate, which I'll show you what I mean on the 26 in a minute. It's actually how the plate sits. You can't adjust it this way. I don't know many people that actually do that, but I just noticed there's no adjustment screw there, so it looks like that can't be adjusted at all. If we flick over to the 26, instantly there is a bigger gap in here, so it is easier to get to those switches. Again, it might not be an issue for you. A little bit heavier, as we just saw, but it feels great. I must admit, this transmitter does feel great in the hand. Very, very similar. The case is a similar design, and we'll have a close-up look at that in a minute. Again, I can get to everything I need. Now, there's a few more switches and dials going on here. We have the T6 and T5 top trims. Obviously, this is more channels, and we have additional sliders at the back here. Now, I use sliders for flaps. I use the inner slider here, not the outer one, on my Bushmaster, but it feels good. It feels good. I've not done any adjustments to the sticks on this transmitter at the moment, but it feels great. I've not had any complaints from anybody about how this transmitter feels. So I think overall, if you've got, I was going to say fat fingers, if you've got thicker fingers than mine, which is probably you probably have, that even sounded wrong. But you know what I'm saying. You know, if trying to get your finger in between there is going to be an issue, then this isn't the transmitter for you. Right, let's have a close-up look of the actual transmitter. Okay, so here's both transmitters side by side. Let's have a look around them. So look, the T16 instantly looks very slightly smaller. I think it is fractionally, especially if we line them up at the bottom here. Approximately, you can just about see that. This one is slightly taller. Obviously it's taller because you've got the second screen at the top, which I like the idea of the second screen, but I've not yet used it. You can set timers on this, and you can also put telemetry on there, but you can't put telemetry and timer, as far as I'm aware, on the same screen at the same time. The look is very, very similar, isn't it? The design is very, very similar. The power buttons are the same. The trims are slightly different. They're lower down on the 26. These ones on the 16 sit a bit prouder. The screen, interestingly enough, looks bigger on the 16. Let's just check that. I know I should measure diagonal, but I'm not. That is about 97 mil. Oh, they are the same. It's an optical illusion. That's 97. That's 110. That's 110. They're exactly the same size screen. It just looks like it's bigger on this transmitter. They are probably the same screen, to be honest with you, because the 16IZ Super is a fairly new set. I'm not sure if they changed the screen between the non-Super and the Super. And obviously this is the latest set out. It's not the high-end set. The high-end set is the 32MZ, which I don't rate because I don't like the software on it. They've changed it. They're running on Windows, and I'm not a fan of the software. I haven't got used to it. I only had a few days with one recently. I need to go back to it. I prefer this layout of software because it's what I'm currently used to, which I think is a deciding factor when you look at a new transmitter. Are you used to the software or not? Can you adjust and get used to the new software? But let's have a carry on looking around. Now, I actually like the design of this. I like these buttons here, the menu button, the home exit button being on the side here. I think there's a nice use of space. On this one, it just kind of looks like they've not used the space and they've cheaped out on the screen. To be honest with you, the 32MZ has a full width screen, goes all the way to the end, and it's something you notice as soon as you pick up the transmitter. Now, in fairness to Futaba, if they put a full width screen in this, there's probably not enough to differentiate between this and the 32. No, you need to have some different factors in the hardware as you go through the ranges in the model to make people want to buy the next model up. I get it. I like the light indicators they've put here rather than on the power switch, obviously just using those holes. Obviously we've got trims here on this one, and we've got the light indicators on the power. This does change depending on a few different things. I think it flashes if you're running low on battery, might be wrong on that. But if you go to a model, which has got a different type of receiver in it, you can see it's changed purple. So it has an SFHSS receiver in it rather than a fast test receiver in it. I'm not going to go down the whole fast and fast test thing in this video, guys. I'll say that for another video. So light indicator. So yeah, I like the design of both of them, to tell you the truth. They've changed this. It's kind of like a gunmetal, and that's for the Super. They just changed the colouring on it. Now on some of these transmitters, I'm not going to do it on here, but the print rubs off. My T18SZ is horrible for this. So you can see here, all the print's gone. You can see, where else has it gone? I do look after my stuff. I know this one's a bit grubby. You can see it fading up here. Look, what's that say? S. What's all that about? So that's horrible. And I think that is a design fault from Futaba. I don't think they've admitted that. But a lot of people who have these transmitters have the same issue. The print wears away. And you just look at the throttle stick there. It just makes it look really, really grubby. So it's not yet done that on my T26, but I'm being super careful with it. And I've not flown a great with the T16, but everything, all the print is currently in place, which is good. Turn the models on the side. Sorry, not the models, transmitters. Look at the side profile without dropping them. Again, very similar. The 16 is slightly thinner, so it feels slightly different in the hand than what the 26 is. Let's just turn these off quickly. You can press twice on the 26 to turn it off. It's kind of like a safety feature. Flip these over without damaging them. And have a look at the back. Difference in battery compartments. That is the battery for the 16 in there, and the 26 is underneath this section here, along with the memory card. The memory card on the 16 is actually in the top, which you need to use. It's actually up here, behind this little flap here, in there, and it's particularly difficult to get to. And I've commented on that before. You've got a PC port there, but you've also got your micro SD card goes in there, and it can be difficult sometimes just to get your thumb in there to release the card. I may as well show you the other one while we're here. Behind this, you've got the battery and you've got the card. Slightly easier. I mean, I released it there, but still getting it out can be a pain, and I don't want to use pliers. Probably tweezers would be better. Easier to go in. It's just trying to get it out. So slightly different design there. Not really an issue. I mean, you're probably not taking your memory card in and out all the time on either transmitter. What else can we say at the back of it? You've got your standard trainer port in similar places, different hatches here to adjust different parts of it. I think there might be some adjustment screws underneath this grip as well, or that grip on the 16. On here, I think they're just here. I'm not sure, I've not tried adjusting it yet. And then you've got your headphone jack there. And that's about it. Looking at the top down, same design aerials, which I don't like. And being honest, guys, to me they just look plasticky. Kind of look just a bit plasticky and kind of a bit cheap. I mean, they feel really plasticky and really cheap. Don't really ever lock in properly either. How's this one? Oh, that clicked in. Maybe it's me. Oh, they do click in. I take it all back, Futaba. I was wrong. There you go. They do click in if you kind of force them. That's nice. But I still don't like the aerial. As a comparison, 18. It's got this design. Yes, it sticks out. I just prefer it. It just feels more substantial. Maybe if they just made these ones feel slightly more solid and not like they're super lightweight plastic that could just break, then it'd be nice. Click. Okay, so that's probably about it for the look and feel. Switch configuration is exactly the same. Obviously different amount of channels across the two, but you've got same switches, mainly 3 ways across all of these. It is all 3 ways across all of those. 3 ways, 3-way, 2-way on the back left, and of course you've got your spring-loaded switch on the back right, which I use for timer reset. Sliders, feel exactly the same. Dials feel exactly the same, just a different design. Now these ones you have to use on the side, on the 26. You can use on the side or from the top if you want to take both fingers off. You might do it on your left hand too. Right, so hopefully that gives you a good view on the weight and the actual design of the two transmitters. If I had to say which way I would go, just based on what we've just covered there, it would have to be the T26, purely because I prefer the gap in there, and I actually prefer the look of the transmitter. I like the slightly heavier weight, and I like the 2 screens. So now that I've covered an overview of the hardware, again, without going into the technical details of what's inside, now I will say there are better gimbals inside the T26 than the T16, I believe. It's the T26 has got the same class of hardware components as the T32MZ, I believe. I'm not taking either apart, but it's what I've read. And of course the T32MZ WC is currently Futaba's flagship transmitter, so it doesn't kind of get any better than that as far as Futaba are concerned. So I think from that point of view, the 26 is definitely better from a hardware spec. But let's have a look at the software. Okay, so from a software point of view, let's turn these both on at the same time so we can see boot time. Ignore the throttle cut. You can see that the startup is fractionally faster on the T16IZ, but that's not really going to bother you at all. Now, if you compared either one of those to the T32MZ, and I think the T18MZ the same as well, the software is going to take longer to boot up. It's going to take about 18 to 24 seconds to boot up. I have timed it, and that's because the T32 and the T18MZ transmitters run a Windows-based operating system. So it's a Windows-based operating system has to start up first before the Futaba software layer appears on top. But these two don't. I don't know what they run. I think it might be a version of Linux. I'm not sure. I've not had that confirmed. But it's not Windows, which is why you get that fast boot up time. Now, in Futaba's defense, on the T32MZ, they do have a feature which allows you to basically put the transmitter almost in a hibernate mode for up to 4 hours. You can press a button, turn it off, and it'll do a quick shutdown, and therefore the next startup will start up in just a few seconds. But you obviously have to remember to do it. Anyway, we're on to software. And excuse me if I'm sounding a bit hoarse today. I do have a cold. The software, it looks the same, doesn't it? You can see it's familiar to you. There's a few little tweaks and changes. You can see the memory cards inserted here. Well, that's what that icon is there. The SD card is currently in. Now, this one doesn't have an SD card in there, so I'm not sure if you get the same icon. Let's just check that. Okay, so I've just swapped the SD cards over. It's now in this transmitter, and I've restarted both transmitters. Icons disappeared from this one. You don't get the icon on the other transmitter. Point proven. Now let's put that back. Okay, so we're back in action. So we're saying icon is different. Slightly different down here, date and time. You now get the actual date and time of the day. So you can see when I've been recording this. And that's actually in US format. So that's year, month, day. I haven't found a way to change that around, which again is slightly irritating. And this is how long the transmitter's actually been running for. You can reset this. So this has had 26 minutes of usage since the last reset. And that's had 6 hours and 50 minutes of usage because I've done quite a few tutorials on this one and it's my main transmitter at the moment. But you can reset that. That's not the normal timer. The rest of it is the same. You've got some extra trims on this one because you've got the two top trims on the screen here. Of course, you haven't on the 16 because it's less channels. If we go into a couple of functions, system menu, you can see there's more features on the T26. Now, I've not been through every single one of these features yet. I've not had the transmitter particularly long, and I'm slowly getting around to it as and when I can. Of course, I'll update you. I'm interested to see more about the DLPH2 settings and how that works, which is a way of extending the channels out from a receiver and also supporting some redundancy and having dual flight packs, I believe, but I don't have one at the moment. What else is different here? You've got that date and time setting. Why is that not in UK format? Okay, you've got some S-Bus servo, now that's the same. You've got some receiver setting here. Again, I've not looked into that yet. My receiver's currently off. The LPH2, SBD setting, I've not looked into yet. So more configuration. You've got an update command here as well, which I'm really interested to try out. I'm hoping it will do over-the-air updates, but I doubt it will because there's no Wi-Fi built into this. So you're still going to have to put your update file onto your SD card and put it inside there. As of filming this, there is no updates available for this transmitter. They haven't released any at the moment. I looked at the Futaba US and UK websites recently, no software updates, but it looks like you may be able to put your SD card in here and do an update for your receiver and servos and gyro and sensors over the air. If not over the air, it'd be a case of plugging in the S-Bus wire into this port here, which I expect will be the case because I know to configure the gyros, you have to do that. You can't do it over the air, which is a little bit of a shame. So more functionality. Now you'd expect more functionality on the T26 over the T16 because we are going up the ranges for Futaba. And again, the T32 will have more functionality than the T26. But if you're making a decision over these two transmitters, do you need all the extra bells and whistles that this transmitter has over what this one has? Look, there is still an update function here as an example. There's a switch type here as well, we can change. Now that's interesting. First time I've noticed that. You can change, oh, let's not do that, how many positions are active on that switch. That's pretty cool. I might actually use that. But is it crucial for me to go between the two? Let's have another look, a little bit more software. We've just done system. Let's do linkage. So a quick glance, all the same settings in each of those columns. Page 2, quick glance, user menu, sound select, data reset. On this one, you've got picture and you've got sub display as well. Now sub display is the configuration on the top display. We've got mode or we've got telemetry. And there you go, there's the telemetry. And there's the timers. Obviously you don't have that on the T16IZ because it doesn't have a top display. So that's fair enough. And you've got picture. Where's all my pictures? Okay. I had pictures on here yesterday. I'm sure I did. I might be going crazy. But you've got pictures. You've got the ability to upload pictures to this transmitter. And you can set that picture and it'll appear in this box here. Now 16 doesn't support that. Only the 26 and the 32 and the 18MZ support pictures in that box there. And incidentally, I'm currently writing a little utility which I'll put on my website. It's not out yet. I'm only halfway through coding it, which make it super easy. Well, it makes it easier for you to put pictures on there because it basically converts any photo to the right file format and the right file size for you to be able to fit it in that little tiny box. So that's the only real difference on the linkage menu. Now, if we go into model select, it looks pretty much the same, doesn't it? You can see a few models on this one, a few models on that one. I've got options to select it, delete it, or copy it over. The internal will go to SD card if there's an SD card placed. Same on this one, no models on the SD card at the moment. Perhaps that's a different SD card, it probably is, to the one that I was using the other day for pictures. I don't think there's any other different functionality in the model select there anyway. I think both support the same amount of models. Now I can't remember what that number is, but I know I've had 4 pages of models on here and been able to go between there. So it's 5 there, 6, 7, probably 8 models per page or 7 models per page. And I've definitely had 4 pages fill up before of models. I've got a considerably smaller fleet at the moment. Sad times. Let's come back out of here. And then I guess the main differences will be inside the model type button, because obviously that can be helicopter, glider, so on, iFly fixed wing. So that's what we're calling it. Now this menu does change depending on the model type you have configured. And let me just show you that. So don't get confused when you first compare these. If I go to linkage, and I go to model type, obviously it'll change massively if I change the model type here. But let's stick to aeroplane. Let's try and do something funky here. Let's do loads of flaps and loads of ailerons. And let's do, yeah, 2 elevator servos. Now, in changing this, I am going to wipe out the configuration for this new model on this transmitter. That's saying on both of those. That's why you need to select the model type as one of the very first things you do to make sure you've got this right, because it will reset, I think all the configuration actually, to do with the model. Because obviously you're now saying it's got many more channels and servos. So I enter that. That's now made it a 4 aileron 4 flap 2 elevator model, and you'll probably see there's now more options on here. You're going to get some more mixes, more predefined mixes set up for you. Aileron camber flaps I don't have over here at the moment. Aileron brake flaps, aileron rudder flaps, camber flap elevator. You know, you got more preset mixes there, and your normal, you've got elevator and acceleration. You've got some different options there, so be careful when you're comparing it. But I know from looking through on the manual, on the comparison sites, so on and so forth, that there is more functionality on the T26 than the T16IZ Super. Now I'll see if I can find a clear PDF document detailing that for you and actually list it or link it in the description of this video for you, rather than going through every single model type now on both transmitters to compare them. But my advice really is, do you need the extra software Do you need the extra features in this transmitter over this one? If the answer is yes, then that's not for you. If the answer is no, then the 16 is definitely still a contender. Okay, so quick overview of hardware, quick overview of software. Hopefully it's kind of helping you make a bit of a decision around this, or at least giving you a bit of an insight into both transmitters. Now for the crunch time, let's talk about price. Now I have my phone with me, just check the latest prices that are online at the moment. So one website is currently showing a 14% discount on the T26, and that is retailing at £1,029. Now I hope you're sitting down for that, because it is not a cheap transmitter. Now it's not the most expensive transmitter they do either, because their flagship transmitter, the T32, retails about 2,450-ish. But let's stick to what we're reviewing. T26, 1,029, and a couple in stock. Now on the same website, let's look for the T16. So on the same website, which also gives good discount, and I'm going to link this website down below in the description, guys, directly to both of these products that I'm talking about. 12% off the T16IZ Super. That's still a good discount. £529. What? I know what you're thinking. £500 difference between both transmitters. So if your man maths is going overtime right now, like my man maths is it worth paying £500 more over the top of the T16 for the T26? Now look, obviously I have both transmitters here, and I purchased both of them out of my own pocket. The T26 was brand new, the T16 was almost new, but I actually bought it from a friend, and I paid around, I think, $350 for it when I bought it just a month ago. Now, I don't have a problem with buying second-hand transmitters, but I only buy second-hand transmitters, or sorry, used transmitters from people I know who would have looked after the transmitter. I won't go and buy a transmitter from somebody I don't know, so I don't know how well it's been looked after, because at the end of the day, the transmitter is what is controlling your model. And if it's been dropped, or there's something not quite right with it, and it's likely to break the signal to your model, you're going to write off your model. And some people's models, well, some of my models are more expensive than transmitters, and I just don't want that to happen, and plus it's dangerous, etc, etc, etc. So I'm careful with how I buy second-hand transmitters. But back to the point. Now it's probably worth noting that you can buy the T16IZ Super with a receiver and without a receiver. If you're buying it with a receiver, it's £598. So you can buy it with the R7208SB, but we've compared both of those. 1,000 and some, 500 and some. It's almost double the price. So look, I think personally, and I've said this before, I think on probably all my T26 videos, I think the best transmitter that Futaba currently have in the range, which is applicable to the majority of modelers, is indeed the T16IZ. And if you're going to get one, you can get the T16IZ Super. However, if you're not worried about the differences between the Super and the normal 16IZ, you can pick up some great deals now on new T16IZ, because it's basically obsolete because they've gone to the Super instead. So you can probably get a new IZ for about £400. I will double check that in just a minute. So I personally think this is the best value. Now I can live with the smaller gap. I can live with the difference in software. And so far, having had this for, I don't know, 5-6 weeks, I've not needed to use any of the extra software that's included in this, but I might. Now, if you are, for example, a jet flyer, you fly jet turbines, you're probably going to want all the bells and whistles that this comes with. And that's probably going to be your decision. That's absolutely fine. But I think for the majority of people, you can't go wrong with this set. It's good. I like the software. I like everything about it. And I think it's a good level set. Now, I appreciate it's still expensive. For some people, it's still £500 of your hard money. And there's lots of other different makes out there. And of course, there's lots of other transmitters in Futaba's range going down from this, which have great functionality as well. So just compare. Take your time and compare what differences are and work out if you're going to use those features. And maybe if you're not using those features today, are you going to use them tomorrow? But for me, right now, if I was choosing between both of these and I had a limited budget, 100% it'd be the T16IZ Super. Having said that, I'm going to be selling my 16IZ Super and my 18SZ transmitters because I have made the commitment to go to the T26. I have it and I do really like it, and the models that I'm flying and the models that I want to fly in the future, this is going to be more applicable than the other two transmitters. Guys, I've probably sat on the fence a little bit in this, but the idea was really to help you make up your mind as to what you want to do, and hopefully show you a few little things on these transmitters you may not have thought about before or may not have seen, to hopefully help you guys make a decision around which one you wanted to go for. If there's anything I've missed out, if there's anything you want to particularly know about either of these sets or indeed the T18, then please drop a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer that directly on the YouTube comment or over on my Facebook channel, where I can put more information on Facebook than I can on a YouTube comment. And if it's a big enough thing or a big enough feature or a big enough question, I'll go ahead and film another video for you like I've done recently when somebody wanted to know how to set up conditions and yaw rates. Guys, I hope it's been useful. I hope I've not upset anybody at Futaba. It's my unbiased review and it is what it is. See you next time.